The house on the ranch that breathes by night. Voices from the wastelands of the west-red dust rose like a cloud of blood as Marcus's jeep drove through the rusted gate. 43 years. 43 years since anyone in the family had set foot on that cursed property. And now he stood there, alone, with nothing but a yellowed letter and an ancient key that weighed in his pocket like a tombstone. Rancho Vista del Silencio, read the sign lying on the ground. Its letters faded by the relentless weather of the Arizona desert. Silence. What an ironic name for what I was about to discover. Marcus turned off the engine. The silence that followed was absolute, suffocating, as if the air itself were afraid to make a sound. He stared at the house through the dusty windshield, a two-story structure that had once been white, now grey and peeling, with shutters hanging at impossible angles. The windows were empty, dark eyes watching his arrival. His uncle's letter was folded on the passenger seat. He picked it up again, even though he already knew every word by heart. Marcus, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. Forgive me for never telling you the truth about the ranch. Forgive me for letting you inherit this burden. But someone needs to know. Someone needs to witness. The house breathes, Marcus. At night it breathes. And when it breathes, the voices come. Don't go. For God's sake, sell the property and never look back. But if you go because you need to know the truth like I did, then go tonight. Only at night will you understand why we abandoned everything. Marcus crumpled the letter. Nonsense, it had to be. His uncle Thomas had always been eccentric, a loner who preferred living in a trailer on the outskirts of Phoenix to dealing with real people. Of course, he'd make up crazy stories about the old family ranch, but then why were his hands shaking? It was 3 in the afternoon when he opened the front door for the first time. The lock resisted, years of neglect making it stiff, but finally gave way with a click that echoed through the empty interior. The smell hit him immediately, mildew, dust, and something else. Something sweet and rotten that made his stomach churn. The interior was a museum of abandonment. Furniture covered in white sheets like ghosts waiting to be awakened. Portraits on the wall showed faces he vaguely recognized from old family stories. His great-grandfather Jeremiah, who built the ranch in 1887. His great-grandmother Sarah, with those piercing eyes that seemed to follow you. And others, dozens of others, all sharing that same somber expression. Marcus began to explore. The living room led to a kitchen where dishes still sat on the table, covered in dust so thick they looked like sculptures. A coffee cup, the liquid still evaporated, leaving a black stain at the bottom. A knife and fork crossed over an empty plate, as if whoever was eating had simply stopped. On the second floor, the rooms told more disturbing stories. A children's room scattered with toys. A porcelain doll collapsed on the floor, its glass eyes reflecting the light from the window in a way that made it look like it was crying. A baseball sat on a rocking chair that began to move when he entered, just a slow rocking, as if an invisible child had just jumped out. Wind, Marcus muttered to himself. Though there was no draft, it was in the master bedroom that he found the diary. On the bedside table lay a worn brown leather book, open to a specific page. The handwriting was uneven, desperate. March 15th, 1952, they're getting louder. They're no longer whispers. Sarah hears names being called. She hears her mother, who died 20 years ago. I hear my brother, who we lost in the war. But the worst part isn't the voices of the dead. The worst part is that the house responds. At night, when everything is quiet, you can hear it, breathing as if the structure itself had lungs. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And when it exhales, the voices come from the walls, the floor, the ceiling. They know things only we knew, secrets we took to the grave. Only the grave isn't keeping anything buried here. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. He turned the page. March 17th, 1952, Sarah disappeared this morning. I found only her clothes on the bed. The door was locked from the inside. The window was closed. It's as if she had dissolved, but I hear her. God help me, I hear her in the sighs of the house. Her voice comes from the floorboards as the house exhales. She's calling to me. She wants me to find her. She says it's wonderful down there, that everyone is down there, old generations, waiting, breathing as one. That was the last entry. Marcus slammed the diary shut, his heart pounding wildly. This was too much. Crazy family stories were one thing, but this was disturbing in a way that stirred something primal in his brain. He checked his phone. No signal. Of course not. Outside, the sun began its descent toward the horizon, painting the sky orange and red. Marcus made a decision. He would sleep in the Jeep. He would spend the night outside, wake up in the morning, take a few photos for the real estate agent, and then leave for good. But curiosity is a slow poison. As the sun set completely and darkness swallowed the desert, Marcus found himself sitting in the Jeep, staring at the house. Just watching, waiting, didn't wait long. At 8:43 in the evening, it began a sound. So low that at first he thought he imagined it. But no, it was there, coming from the house. A deep, guttural, rhythmic sound, like breathing. Inhale, a long pause. And then exhale, like a sigh of relief from someone who has been holding their breath for too long. Marcus got out of the Jeep, his feet moving before his brain could process what he was doing. He walked toward the house, each step heavier than the last, as if he were walking against an invisible current. The breathing grew louder, and then on the exhalation he heard it. Voices, dozens of them, hundreds perhaps, whispering, murmuring, calling. They weren't clear words, not at first. They were like echoes of conversations, fragments of prayers, distorted laughter. They came from within the walls, as if the wood itself were vocalizing imprisoned memories. And then a voice stood out. Clear, unmistakable. Marcus, it was his father's voice. His father, who had died 3 years earlier in a car accident in Tucson. His father, whose funeral he had arranged, whose ashes he had scattered in the Grand Canyon. Marcus, come in, son. I need to show you something. His legs trembled. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real, father. His own voice sounded distant, muffled by the thick desert night air. Come in, Marcus. It's all down here. The whole truth. Why the family left. Why your uncle never came back. Why I came here before I died. That stopped him. What do you mean? The house breathed in again, that impossible sucking sound, as if it were swallowing the night air itself. Then it exhaled, and with the exhalation came a chorus of voices. He came looking for answers. Just like you, just like all of us. The house calls to those with blood. The house remembers. Marcus climbed the porch steps. The wood groaned beneath his feet, or maybe it was another breath, he could no longer tell. The front door was ajar, though he was sure he had closed it. Inside, the darkness was absolute. He turned on the flashlight on his phone. The beam of light cut through the darkness, revealing movement. The shadows on the walls were moving against the light, rippling, breathing. In the basement, Marcus. Go down to the basement. He didn't want to. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to get back in the Jeep, to drive until the gas tank was empty. But his feet kept moving. Through the living room, past the kitchen, to a door he hadn't noticed before. A heavy wooden door with an ancient bolt. The bolt was open. The staircase leading down into the darkness was steep, made of ancient wood that creaked ominously. The air was cooler here, damp in a way that shouldn't be possible in the desert. And the smell, that sweet, rotten smell, was overpowering. Keep going down. His father's voice was all around him now, coming from everywhere and nowhere. The basement opened before him. It was much larger than it should have been. It seemed to extend well beyond the confines of the house above. The walls were packed earth, supported by ancient wooden beams. And in the walls, Marcus vomited. There were marks, thousands of them, deep scratches in the earth, as if claws had dug desperately. But they weren't animals. He could see the shapes, hands, human hands, scratching, trying to escape, and then he saw the names engraved in the earth. Written in, he didn't want to think about what. Names upon names upon names. Some he recognized from old family stories. Others were from different eras, different writing styles. Sarah Elizabeth Crawford, 1952. Jeremiah Crawford, 1889. Benjamin Crawford, 1901. Thomas Crawford, 2021, Marcus gasped. Uncle Thomas. The date was the year he had died. We don't die, Marcus. We come together, he spun. A figure stood in the shadows, no, several figures. They moved like water, their forms shifting, melting into one another. And when the beam of his flashlight touched them, he saw faces. Dozens of faces pressed against an invisible membrane, like people trapped under ice. Mouths open in silent screams, eyes wide with terror and something else. Acceptance? One of the figures separated. It began to take on a more solid form. Gray hair, thick glasses, a patched flannel shirt. T.O. Thomas. The thing that looked like his uncle smiled. But there was something wrong with the smile. There were too many teeth, and they moved independently of each other. The house needs Crawford blood, Marcus. It always has. It's what keeps it alive. What keeps us together. Your great-grandfather Jeremiah knew. He made a deal. He built this house in a place where the veil is thin, where the dead do not rest, but wait. He promised it to us, every generation, in exchange for prosperity, power, influence. This is crazy. Marcus backed up the stairs. It's true. The voice was now that of multiple people, speaking in unison. Why do you think the Crawfords were so successful? Why do you think each generation has prospered? Because we pay the price. When the time comes, we return. We return to the house, and we become part of it. Part of the breath, part of the voice. The house breathed again, and Marcus felt it, felt the air being ripped from his lungs, sucked into the walls, into the floor. The breath wasn't coming from the house. The house was breathing through them, through all of them, all the Crawfords who had ever died, all trapped in this impossible structure, their final breaths becoming the eternal breath of the house. Your father came here before he died. He knew the accident wasn't an accident, Marcus. He chose. Just like your uncle chose. Just like we all choose. And now it's your turn. No. Marcus turned to run, but the stairs were farther away. Much farther than they should have been. The basement was expanding. The walls pulling away, creating an impossible cavernous space. You can't leave, Marcus. The house has already claimed you. The moment you crossed the threshold, the moment you heard your name, the house marked you. You can feel it, can't you? And he could. God help him, he could. Something cold spread through his chest, like ice crystallizing in his veins. His breathing was synchronizing, inhaling when the house inhaled, exhaling when the house exhaled.
Fight all you want.
It only makes it harder. Accept it as we did. Join us. Become part of the eternal breath. At least here, we are never truly alone. We are family, forever. Marcus fell to his knees. His hands touched the dirt floor and sank, not into the earth, but through it as if it were liquid. He could feel other hands below grabbing his, cold, desperate, pulling him down. Father, he whispered, tears streaming down his face. I'm here, son. I've always been here, waiting for you. The earth swallowed him up to his wrists, up to his elbows. He fought no more. What was the point? Will it hurt? He asked, his voice childish. The thing that was his uncle knelt beside him, that distorted face trying to look comforting. Just a little. And then you'll understand. You'll breathe with us, all together, one family forever. Marcus felt the earth rise up his chest, his neck. His vision was blurring. The last thing he saw was the basement ceiling, except it wasn't a ceiling. It was a pulsing mass of intertwined flesh and wood, beating like a gigantic heart, expanding and contracting. Inspire, expire, inspire. The sheriff found Marcus's Jeep 3 days later. The driver's door was open, the keys were still in the ignition, and his phone was on the passenger seat with the battery dead. But no sign of Marcus Crawford. A search was organized. Sniffer dogs were brought in. They barked and whined on the porch but refused to enter. Volunteers searched every room, every closet, nothing. Probably lost in the desert, the sheriff finally concluded. These lands are treacherous. We'll keep the search open, but after 3 days, he left the sentence unfinished. Everyone knew what 3 days in the desert meant. The property was put up for sale again. Realtors commented on how well preserved the old house was, considering decades of neglect. A young family from Phoenix expressed interest. The Morrisons, with two young children looking for a change from the chaos of the city. It has a certain atmosphere, doesn't it? Mrs. Morrison said, her hand stroking the weathered wood of the porch. Like it has history, character. The realtor smiled. Absolutely. This property has been in the same family for generations. The Crawfords were very respected people, very successful. What happened to them? Oh, you know how it is. People leave. They move on. As they signed the paperwork, as the Morrisons made plans for renovations and new beginnings, the old house was silent, waiting. But if anyone had stayed there that night, if anyone had been quiet and really listened, they would have heard. Inspire, expire. And in the exhalations, too faint to be heard by untrained ears, a new voice joined the chorus. Help, help, someone help me. It's dark in here, so dark, so cold. But they're here, all of them, waiting, breathing, always breathing. The house sighed contentedly. Another generation would soon come. Breathing would continue forever.